visiting with the sheriff today. Al, what do you want me to call you?
You can call me Al, you can call me Sheriff.
Okay.
Sheriff Nienhuis, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Well, Sheriff, one of the first questions I'd like to ask today is, how do you feel about the support that you've gotten from the community and from within the department here?
Well, I've got to say that I was pleasantly surprised. There are a tremendous number of good people working inside the sheriff's office. I've said this on several occasions, and I mean it. Sheriff Nugent, now Congressman Nugent, he had an knack for picking good people. They're people who are dedicated. They really want to do a good job for the community. And it's a hard job. As most people know, law enforcement can be a difficult job. You see a lot of the bad side of society, and it can affect you, but I haven't seen that here. People here are really good and really dedicated. As far as the public, very similar. I was at a Kiwanis dinner last night, greeted with open arms. Just great people. Hernando is full of great people. I'm happy to be here, and I can't wait till I get my family up here and get them settled in. My wife's been staying here most nights with me, but my daughters kind of go back and forth between here and Pasco. And once we find a house, it's going to be good. We'll get settled in.
How old are your daughters?
I've got 3 daughters.
Okay.
I'm a little bit prejudiced, but I think they're perfect. So, but there's an 11-year-old who's Alyssa, my 15-year-old is Amanda, and my oldest is Shauna. She's 18. All 3 of them are great girls. They stay out of trouble, and they make their mom and dad very proud.
Well, that's great. On the memorandum that you put out yesterday, the media release that you put out, you created or brought back the chief deputy position, and you made Mike Mauer the chief deputy. Was there an increase in pay associated with that?
Yeah, his responsibilities increased substantially, so that there was an increase in pay. It was already a position that was already in place. It just was not filled, and so I moved him into that with the pay that the previous chief deputy was making.
Okay. You also state, or you were bringing back the position of corporal and doing away with the position of coordinator within the department. Is that going to create an increase in payroll or a decrease in payroll?
It has no effect on pay. It's just more of a way to better identify their rank within the organization. Coordinator is a little ambiguous. Corporal is a position, a rank that is between the deputy and sergeant.
On the
excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
You were talking about expanding the inmate work programs in order to try and help the county with their general fund, their budget that they're having problems with. Do you have any idea how much money you might be able to save them by doing that?
That's going to be dependent on really 2 issues. Number one, what they're willing to allow the inmates to do. And, obviously it's also a function of the number of inmates that are qualified to be able to do that. And, of course, we have to have a deputy that's able to watch those inmates. In jail, I don't think a lot of people realize that there's all level of inmates. There's some that are called red dot status, where you can't let them out of their cell without at least 2 deputies watching them. There are people who are going to be in jail probably for the rest of their life. And then there are those people who are very close to getting out. Maybe they've already been sentenced for a misdemeanor and they're going to be out in a couple months anyway. And those are the type of people that often have a skill and that we can use those. So it is a little bit of a function of how many of those people we have in jail. But I have some experience in the county I just left, south of us in Pasco. They were in the process of building a hangar for the aviation unit to house the helicopters in Pasco, and actually did a very good job. If it's not completed now, it's very close to being completed. And probably saved the county, I think even a conservative estimate is $800,000 to $1 million.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Significant. Yeah.
Yes.
You also mentioned that you were eliminating some of the specialty positions and trying to bring more people back into the, on the patrol unit.
Well, I wasn't actually eliminating the positions. What we want to do is just make them a little more fluid and flexible. There's some positions that are in place that maybe based on the season, their workload may go up or down. Excuse me, and they may not be needed. I'll use a perfect example as the Marine unit. The Marine unit obviously is much busier in the summertime than they are in the wintertime. People aren't out on the water in the middle of January when it's 30 degrees outside. So we can reallocate those temporarily to fill maybe patrol positions. Similar with just about all the specialized positions, you know, even the community policing and even some of the special enforcement units. You know, if we have a rash of burglaries, we may need to move people into those areas to help out. But, you know, if that district is a little slow in that area, they can go back to answering calls for service. Because really that's our primary function is we have to be able to react to crime before we can ever be proactive. If somebody calls and says their house is being broken into, that's obviously a priority to us, an in-progress crime. And so we have to make sure that we're fully staffed in that area first before we can go into these other areas that may be important but not quite as high a priority.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about the STARCOM program? Because that's not something I'm really familiar with.
STARCOM is a program that in the past it's been called different names in different jurisdictions. It's similar to CompStat. It's an accountability program in session. And it's where leaders in the agency are brought before the command staff and both given praise when their people have gotten commendations for doing a good job, and also asking them about maybe certain areas that the statistics may be a little low in or whatever, basically making sure they're held accountable. And it's a great program, but it is very labor intensive. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do that half as often. Instead of every 2 weeks, we're going to do it once a month. And we're going to evaluate that and bring some people together and maybe look at it again for the first time and be able to maybe streamline it a little bit, maybe get the same results but without using quite so much resources as far as labor. Because it takes a long time. If you're going to be, if you're a lieutenant and you're going to have to come before this large group of your peers, you can spend dozens of hours preparing because you obviously don't want to be caught off guard. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can sometimes take you away from other duties. And so we're going to try to level that out. We're not going to do away with accountability, obviously, because that's very important, but maybe the manner in which we hold people accountable, maybe try to make it a little more efficient.
I understand. Listen, I thank you for your time.
Sure.
And appreciate you talking to me today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime. Anytime.